James Carter was no stranger to adversity. Growing up in a predominantly black neighborhood, he had seen firsthand how the very people sworn to protect the community often treated its residents with suspicion and disdain. But James had never let bitterness consume him. Instead, he used his experiences as fuel to break barriers. Years of dedication, education, and hard work led him to an incredible achievement. He became one of the youngest black captains in the police force, determined to create change from within. One evening, after finishing a long day at the precinct, James decided to stop by a corner store on his way home. Dressed in a plain sweatshirt and jeans, he looked like any other man running an errand. As he exited the store with a bag in hand, he noticed the flashing lights of a police cruiser pulling up. "Hey you! Hands where I can see them!" barked Officer Miller, a white cop in his early 30s, stepping out of the car with his hand hovering over his holstered gun. James froze, his calm demeanor hiding the anger rising within him. "Is there a problem, officer?" he asked evenly. "You match the description of someone we're looking for," Miller said sharply, his tone laced with mistrust. James sighed. "I just bought groceries," he said, holding up his bag. "Drop the bag and turn around," Miller ordered. "Now." Despite the insult of being treated like a criminal, James complied, knowing that resistance would only escalate the situation. Miller grabbed his arm roughly and began to frisk him as passersby stopped to watch. "What's in the bag?" Miller demanded. "Dinner," James replied, his voice steady but firm. "You think you're clever, huh?" Miller sneered. "What are you really doing out here?" Before James could respond, another police car pulled up. Out stepped Sergeant Daniels, a veteran officer who immediately recognized James. His face went pale. "Officer Miller, what the hell are you doing?" Daniels yelled, rushing over. "I'm apprehending a suspect," Miller replied confidently. "That suspect is Captain James Carter, your commanding officer," Daniels snapped. Miller froze, his hand still gripping James's arm. Slowly, he released him, his face turning beet red. "Captain, I didn't know. I'm sorry," he stammered, his voice shaking. James adjusted his jacket, his expression calm but piercing. "You didn't know because you didn't care to look. You saw my skin and decided who I was. And I'm not the first. You've done this to countless others who didn't have a badge to protect them. This stops now." The crowd, which had been watching in silence, began murmuring as the gravity of the situation sank in. James turned to them and said, "What happened to me tonight isn't just about me, it's about all of us. We have to demand better from the people who wear this uniform." The incident sent shockwaves through the community and the police force. Miller was placed under investigation, and under James's leadership, the department implemented sweeping reforms. Mandatory training on racial bias, stronger accountability measures, and community outreach programs became the norm. As for Miller, the experience changed him profoundly. Humbled and ashamed, he sought to educate himself on the struggles faced by the Black community and became one of the department's most active participants in community-building efforts. James's resolve turned a moment of humiliation into a catalyst for change, proving that even in the face of prejudice, one voice can spark a movement.